right, you guys ready?
You ready?
I was going to say this too. I said this before, but just imagine we're just like talking in class with headphones. All right, hi guys. Who would have thought we were here for this, right?
I know.
But to everybody listening, welcome to the first episode of our new podcast, Behind the Beans. Here on Behind Beans podcast, we hope to elevate the voice of students while we each enjoy our own cup of coffee. Today is our first episode, and to be honest, I think we're just all excited to get this started. Never really thought that this was going to come to fruition, but we're excited to get this off the ground. I'm Mr. Henricksen, and here with me today are Keira. Say
Hi.
Hi, Keira. James.
Hi.
And Logan.
What's up?
Hey guys, how are you all doing this morning?
I mean, I'd say we're pretty good. A little nervous because of this, but you said not to be.
Yeah, there's no reason to be. Logan, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty all right.
All right.
Pretty good.
Okay, good. All right, so one of the premises behind this show is to start by sharing a cup of coffee. Now, obviously, during COVID, we're not sharing a cup of coffee. We have our own. But I always wanted to highlight a cup of coffee. And I went kind of basic today. I got Starbucks. But there's a story behind the coffee that I got. So today we're drinking an Americano. And so the story behind the Americano is it's kind of a history lesson. I told you guys this in class, I think, one time. During World War II, Americans, we like our drip coffee, like our big, tall drip coffee, right? And during World War II in Italy, they really only Italy drinks espresso, right? So to get tall drip coffee, Americans mix the espresso with hot water, and we have an Americano. So that's what we're drinking today. And so as we take our first sip, my first question to you guys, and hopefully you guys can answer this if you remember, can anyone actually recall how this whole thing started? Like, how did we get to this point?
It started off in Zoom, I know that, because we started talking, and then we said, like, grass loaf was bread, and then it turned to bean water is coffee. And I don't know, we just talked a bunch, and then somehow we all formed connections with you, even if it was over Zoom, and then we did like a bunch of surprises for you, and then we said that we would get down and do a podcast because we like talking to each other.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm really surprised that we are doing it, to be honest. Usually as a teacher, I say a lot of things like this, and then
It just never happened.
it just never happens, right? It never happens. Yeah, and to be honest, I said yes, and I wasn't sure that we would do it. But, it's like I think of Paul Rudd, look at us now, right? That meme. All right, so the topic of conversation really, I was hoping to focus on with you guys, and this is where really I hope to get your input, right? Because this is really more about you guys and listening to you guys speak and talk and all that kind of stuff. So today's topic really is something about reflecting on the pandemic in the past year, right? And how the past year has impacted you guys and how it's impacted your experience as a student and the things that you value. So my first question to each of you, and I'll start with you, Keira. Think back to end of February, early March, and I have a couple answers myself, but did you start any quarantine hobbies or anything like that? And how did that go if you actually did?
So my friend and I, we decided that we would FaceTime every night and do a 30-minute stretch together to get our splits and over splits. And we actually continued that until like the start of school in fall.
That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. Like you guys stuck with it.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that?
I think it was both of ours. I don't think it was mainly one more than the other. I think we kind of both wanted to do it.
Yeah, nice. That's a good way to stay connected. James, what about you? Did you start any quarantine hobbies? How did that go if you did?
I started a couple. Like one basic one was that I started reading because I suck at reading. I'm a slow reader. But
That's not true. Give yourself some credit, James.
But I'm serious. Like in the English class, I'm like 10 pages behind everybody else in reading. But one really cool thing that I started with my friend. So he really wanted to like work out and stuff, and he said that he wanted to work out, right? And like he needs a workout buddy and stuff, but we can't because it's COVID times. And so we would like hop on a call, and then we would just watch each other work out, I guess. And like since then, there's like been big improvements in both of us, and like I don't know, we're just proud that we actually did something nice like that.
Yeah.
Because usually we never do that at all. So.
Are you guys still sticking to it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys do like an accountability thing, like you FaceTime
Mhm.
and just work out
Like,
together.
You have to do it, or else, well, like, it's like that bullying thing to get you motivated, I guess. Like, if you don't do it, like, I guess you're worse than me, so then we push each other to keep going.
Did you say bullying?
I guess so.
Motivation.
Motivation.
Encouragement. Yeah. Holding each other accountable,
Yeah.
right? Logan, what about you, man? This past 12 months, 14 months, 16 months, what have you been doing?
So really, I've been going outside more with my neighbors because when it started, I was pretty much just staying inside, playing video games. But eventually, you got to get bored of what you have because you can only play a game so many times before you start to get bored of it. And so I started, heading outside a lot more. Like I've been going outside for probably like at least like 3 hours a day now, just hanging out with all my friends and neighbors and playing. We've been playing like street hockey or kickball or something in the street. So.
Are you sure about the video games? Because I feel like Minecraft, you could just go down a rabbit hole for hours and hours.
I actually can get bored of video games pretty easily if I keep playing it for a long time.
Do you play Minecraft?
Sometimes not as much anymore. But
Yeah, I've never played, but being outside's a
should.
good idea. I should?
Yes, and then teach your kid that.
I don't know. Maybe I'll say yes, and maybe it'll either be like the podcast and it'll actually happen, or it won't. We'll see.
Eventually.
All right, so second question, James. I'll go with you with this one. So
I don't remember this one.
it's all good. It's a little bit about more now. Thinking back, 12 months, you guys started to do some things, picked up some new hobbies, and it sounds like most of you guys stuck with them, which is awesome. That's a positive to come out of this. But as we're kind of coming down to the end of this school year and this full school year of remote, my question is, one, how are you feeling? Just how are you feeling? And number two, the follow-up question, what's like the general sense or demeanor that you, your friends, your classmates have after this past, school year, and for you guys, your first year in high school?
I think, how I'm feeling right now is I actually enjoyed the first semester of this high school because it was pretty easy and I did all my work, and then I wasn't slouching or anything. I wasn't procrastinating. But now, once it hit second quarter, I just shut down completely and I didn't do any of the work. And then, so I'm kind of struggling to get back up and do all the work, I guess, because I think everybody just lost their motivation after the first semester, and they realized that being quarantined like that really sucked, and especially for the remote kids who stayed remote. I can't imagine what it's like for them, because my friend, she really, really hates remote, and she thought it would be worse if she went back into school anyways, because she doesn't have the motivation to do anything. So I think I get that sense from everybody, it's the end of the year and it's okay to stop pedaling because we're almost at the finish line. So I think everybody is starting to slow down. At least that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's the sense that I get just from teaching, obviously a number of you guys. And I think for me, it was really when we had that slew of isolations where everybody was kind of as a result of protocol, right? Safety
Yeah.
protocol, where I went from a class of 25 kids in
To one.
class to 2, and I was just like, what am I doing? It was just a weird experience, and that kind of took the wind out of my sails. So, Keira, same question to you though.
I'm just trying to finish the school year strong and not let any of my grades drop.
Do you get that? Do you feel like you're alone in that, or do you think that's true of others, or
I think everyone's kind of feeling that way.
yeah, so far this year? What are you looking forward to this summer, though? You're trying to just get through. Is there anything that's driving you to kind of get through this, or no?
Maybe just being able to hang out with friends more and just kind of be done with the school year.
Yeah, that's the general sense I get too. Logan, thoughts on that? How are you feeling? What's the general demeanor you're feeling?
So I'm feeling, pretty all right, I guess, because I'm in person now. I mean, for the past month, every other week, I've had to stay home for at least a couple days for some reason, whether it be I don't know, if you got quarantined or have a test. But first semester went pretty well. I would say I was able to, focus. I was able to focus and get all my work done. Maybe after Thanksgiving, it kind of slowed down a little bit leading up into Christmas. But right after winter break, everything just kind of stopped really. It was harder to, I was having trouble paying attention in class. And when we came back to school, you know, it was pretty easy because I was there, and it was harder to get distracted by everything that's in my room. But you know, now that we're in person full time for at least the next 2 weeks, it's pretty good that the school year's almost over, so I can just do this.
Yeah, I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys have had these conversations, but I've noticed the students who have come back to be in person, even if it's not great, their general demeanor is a little bit more positive, and their outlook's a little bit better on just what's going on. So I'm glad that you guys are back, and obviously we get to do this, right? All right, third question. If you think back, you know, the first year of high school, the past 12 months, and Keira, I'll start with you. What do you think your biggest success has been and your biggest failure? And you don't have to like spill the beans, right? Like you don't have to give us all like that kind of stuff. But like, you know, what's one thing that you really saw as a success this past 12 months and something that maybe didn't go so well?
I would say my biggest success has been keeping my grades up throughout like the remote learning and everything, because I feel like that's something a lot of people struggled with. And then my biggest failure has probably been struggling to speak over Zoom, because I'm already like a more shy and introverted person, and I don't like talking much in class, and it was just a lot more difficult over Zoom.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but you're on a podcast now. You should be really proud of that. I also had a follow-up question for you, Keira. And this is not a question I had, but what was the transition like from middle school to high school remotely? Like, would you consider that, is that a success? Is that a failure? Like, because it's a very different way of school, right? And especially when you didn't know how to do it before.
For me, high school classes haven't been that much harder yet. Like my grades haven't dropped at all. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot worse.
Okay, good. Well, I count that as a success for you then. Logan, to you, man, what do you think your biggest success and failure these past 12 to 14 months has been since the start of the pandemic?
For my success, I don't know. I'd say remote learning kind of went better than I thought it was going to be, because in middle school when we started this, like I was doing my work for about a week or two, and then I kind of just stopped doing everything.
Yeah.
And slowly and had like assignments coming in a week late, because I just didn't really have the motivation to do anything after the first couple of weeks. Which and then maybe like one of my that's a success, because you know I was able to keep it going through high school for at least and if I had late assignments, I was able to get them done within a couple days. So
yeah,
that was pretty good. And then maybe a failure was just probably paying attention in the second half of the year. It was so hard to do that, especially because I did Zoom on my computer. So there's already all the games on my computer, and it was just hard to stay focused.
Yeah,
on Zoom
the distractions on Zoom. Yeah, I get that. I'm in my master's class right now. We have to do remote learning, and I'll just admit I get distracted sometimes from time to time. I was going to say this too. I mean, think back to like the first March, you know, like we were supposed to leave for spring break. And then they're like, oh, we'll see you after spring break. And it was like, no, we didn't see them ever again. It was like the Wild West, like, of learning. Like, think about that. You guys had it was just craziness. Like, I didn't even see students for like, I don't know. They weren't required to come on Zoom. Like,
They weren't.
Not at the high school level. I don't know what you guys were like
At
at the
middle schoolers.
There's just no Zooms.
Last spring?
Yeah, I think they didn't have Zooms.
Yeah, we didn't have them. So it was like, whoever shows up, and here's your work. And if you do it, you do it. If not, you know, it is what it is, right? All right, so to you, James, and that same question, you know, biggest success and biggest failure of these past 12 to 14 months, you think?
I think my biggest success is like learning how to talk to people more, because I think during the pandemic and we were quarantined for like forever, I guess I lost like the ability to speak to people. It was so strange. Like I got so introverted, and I look back on it now. In like middle school, I was super extroverted, and I would talk to people all the time. And now I'm just like a quiet stone. So I've been trying to learn how to speak better and talk to people and like maintain eye contact, because like I studied a bunch of stuff about that stuff and like psychology and stuff like that, and it helped me get through it. But my biggest failure, I guess it comes back to my grades and my work, because I haven't really been able to keep up this year, especially in the second half. So I think that's what I need to work on.
I mean, I appreciate you being honest. You know, it's not easy to admit to that on a medium like this. But all I don't know if you guys notice. I've noticed I've made more eye contact with students and people because they have a mask on. So it's like I'm not watching their mouth right when they talk because I can't see it. So I just got to actually look at their eyes. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Who wants to take this next one? Anybody want to take this next one?
I'll take it.
All right, James, you went first. All right. So this one was it's like kind of a philosophical question, and well, maybe not philosophical, James. I don't want you to get too excited. But it's more of like a hindsight 2020, right? Okay. And that's not a bad 2020 joke, I promise you. That's just hindsight 2020, right?
Yeah.
Because we all look back on this and reflect on this past, 12 months, 14 months in our lives, and it's going to be different for everybody, right? And we're gonna take different things from it. But if there's one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known, say, March 13th of 2020, what would that one thing be?
I think it would just be to be more productive and work harder, because now that I get really bored and I've listened to like college lectures and they tell you like how to spend your time wisely and like be efficient, because I've been slipping in those areas. Like I wish I told myself when I was still like full of energy and like coming out of middle school and I was ready for high school, and then like before the quarantine started, I wish that I would have spent my time learning and keeping up with my habits, like the good habits, and like staying on track with everything.
My follow-up question though is, if you didn't, okay, how do I phrase this? If you didn't get unmotivated, would you have been motivated enough to learn that, to know it now, to then say, I wish I knew that then?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it made sense to me.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, all right, good. All right, Keira, to you then. What's one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known then?
I wish I knew how long this was gonna last and like how much it was gonna affect, because at the beginning, like I just thought that it was gonna be over in a few weeks and like it was nothing major, but like as time went on, I think I realized like how long this is gonna be.
So like understanding the gravity of it, the impact of it over time. And it's weird because in like a pandemic, we studied the epidemiological transition model, right, about pandemics and stuff, but it's not like a school year where it's like June 1st we're done with school, right? There's no end date to a pandemic, so I think that's a great point, right? To grasp that and understand like we're in this for the long haul would be easy, right? Logan, what about you, man? What's one thing you wish you knew then that you know now?
One of the things I wish I knew then was that it was going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, because when this started, I thought, school was just going to end up being a joke, and it was just going to be, you weren't going to get any grades or anything, you're still passing no matter what you do. But that wasn't the case. I mean, I still tried at the beginning because I didn't really know what it was going to be like, and then I realized that I had to, keep trying the whole year. I couldn't just hardly do anything and still get by with an A. So it was pretty hard, but I wish I knew that was going to be harder at the beginning, because at the beginning I didn't take anything seriously.
So like you just like as an attitude adjustment sort of thing?
Yeah.
Like you wish you knew that, yeah. Good, yeah, I wish I knew, I think as a teacher too, like if you were to tell me 12 months ago, 14 months ago that I was teaching, and these are all education terms, teaching via Pear Deck, via Zoom, in the chat, live and in person, and giving worksheets at the same time in a class period, like no way, right? There's no way I would have thought that. And I think if I were to tell myself the same thing, I think it'd be along the same lines as you, Keira, like just know that you're in it for the long haul and understand that like you just got to take it day by day, right? Because it's really, but that's a greater lesson that will transcend just, the pandemic, right? All right, so a couple more questions. All right, so this one, and Keira and I talked about this before the recording. Well, can I just say no? So I'm going to rephrase my question, right? I'm going to rephrase my question. So my original question is, if you could step into my shoes as the teacher, right? What do you wish I would have asked you? And I think I was going for, what would I have asked you to talk about this pandemic? But really, I think I'm going to change the question as, what should I as a teacher ask you guys to understand how this has impacted you?
Could you
if that makes sense?
Could you rephrase it?
Okay, so is there a question that I should be asking of students to really understand what it's been like for you? Like, am I missing a question? Like that's what I'm going for, right? Like, what What's the one question I need to ask you guys that you guys could answer? And maybe there isn't, to really get a good grasp on what student experience is like and has been like. That's really what I was going for.
I mean, I don't think there is anything. Like, you were constantly checking in on us to making sure we were okay and everything, so there's not really much more you could have done.
Well, I mean, that's nice to hear. That's nice to hear. But in general, like, is there anything else that we as teachers should know either? And not just, I guess maybe not just me, but, you know, it's nice to know that you guys felt like I was checking in on you. I tried to, for sure. Anything come to mind or no?
I don't think so. I didn't, like, some teachers didn't, like, check in on us like you did, but I think you really did a good job checking in on everybody, like, this year, because you always ask, like, how are we feeling today, or you guys okay, thumbs up, something, like, give it a rating on how you're feeling, and then you'd talk about it and actually be serious about it.
Cool. All right. I was just curious, Logan, any thoughts for you?
Yeah, some teachers, you know, they haven't really asked us like anything if we're doing all right. They just kind of been assigning work, and they haven't really been asking it how we're feeling after doing all the work that they give us.
Gotcha.
Which, you know, it'd be kind of nice if they asked how we felt after all of that.
So-
because it's kind of stressful to get all that done.
I think so. I think to sum it up, maybe I was asking the questions that you feel like other teachers should have been.
Yeah.
Just simply, how are you feeling? How's it going? What'd you get out of this assignment? Here's whatever. Maybe that's it. All right, so last question, and then I got a little game for us to play at the end. We'll go one more question, and a little game at the end. This is a really big reflective question, right? Really big reflective, overarching, and I hope to hit on some of those things earlier. But this final question is, and this can be as specific or as general as you want, right? What have you learned in the past 12 to 14 months? And has that changed anything that you value or you hold deeply to you? Is there something that you've learned that maybe has changed what you value or not, or confirmed what you already believed? I don't know. It doesn't have to be a change, just a thought. Logan, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, sure. So something that changed was really I feel like I'm more talkative to friends now that I talk to, because you know, sometimes you just don't get to talk to them for a while. You know, I thought I was going to be able to see my friends, you know, right after the 1 week or 2 week break. Because at the beginning, it was just like, oh, it's a 2 week spring break, and you know, that's what I thought it was. And then, so I value talking to people more.
Yeah, that's great. Keira?
I think I just realized how many things like people take for granted in life, like going to school, like movies, or like even out to a restaurant, and like just how different things are without them. And I feel like I'm just more grateful for them now, and just realize like how much more important they are.
Would you consider yourself a grateful kind of person to begin with? Somebody who like expresses gratitude and is thankful for those things already, and this confirm that, or?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's very similar to, I think Mrs. Henricksen and you share that same sort of value set. So James, over to you then. What do you learn in the past 12 months, and how has that changed or confirmed things that you value?
I don't know. I had like a big mindset change after I studied like philosophy and lectures and stuff. But a big change is like, so I learned what like being nihilistic was.
Okay.
And the idea that nothing matters, so you shouldn't care or anything. So, and like how bad it is. So I decided that like I should do the opposite of that, and like especially now, since I'm trying to like get all my work done, everything matters. Like everything I do should matter, so that everything benefits me, and that I try my hardest. And like I shouldn't have that like teenage angst where it's like nothing matters or something. And I guess that's the mindset change that I had, especially coming out of this year.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, that's really important. You know, that's a shift internally. That's great. Yeah, that's really good. I didn't even understand, or I didn't know that many middle school and freshmen in high school studied nihilism, to be honest.
I didn't know that either.
I think probably most people say it in a way without realizing that's what they're talking about at the high school level. All right, so those are our 6 questions. So one, thank you guys for answering those 6 questions. Hopefully this last game is a little bit more, I want to say not as serious, but a little bit more lighthearted, right? So the idea was to try and reflect on this, But this will be kind of our wrap-up final segment. So I like to call this keep, deletes, and remediates. Okay, so you get to keep. I'm going to give you guys 3 options, and there are 3 different things of kind of like the same topic, right? And the goal for each of you guys, and there's no right or wrong, there's no winner here, but it's more of just thinking these things through. So keep, delete, and remediate. So like here at the high school, we can remediate, quote unquote, remediate our tests, right? So the remediate is really change. What would you change? Okay, so you get to keep one of these, delete one, get rid of it, or remediate and change it, all right? So I think I'll start with a little bit of, I'll do 2 of them about remote learning and then 1 just about maybe some food or coffee or something. All right, so the first one, during remote learning, you have to keep, delete, or remediate one. All right, you ready? So you have to keep, delete, or remediate group work in breakout rooms. Okay. Writing a 5-paragraph essay remotely, and giving a class presentation over Zoom. So which one do you keep, which one do you delete, and which one do you remediate out of the remote learning things that you've done in the past 12 months? And I'll open this up. So whoever wants to start can go.
I would delete giving a presentation over Zoom because that's just scary and it never goes well. I would probably remediate group work in breakout rooms because I feel like sometimes, like if you're put with a good group, that can work out, but if like no one's talking, then it's just awkward and you don't get anything done. And then I would keep just writing the essay because I mean you have to do that.
Did you guys just have to write like an essay in English?
Yeah, we're going to.
You're going to?
We're about to.
Okay, all right. That's where I got that one idea. So, all right, keep, delete, or remediate. James, why don't you go next?
So I would delete the breakout rooms because at the beginning I really hated those. Even though I know this class is like really tight and we know each other, my other classes, it's dead
Not so
silence.
much.
It's torture, like sitting in that silent breakout room, and then the teacher pops in and she's like expecting you guys to be talking, but everybody's cameras are off and you're muted, or like it's just a ceiling. And then they have like that disappointed look on their face, and it's so. I mean, I laugh at it, but I really wish I didn't have to go through it. And then the thing I'd change is probably the essay because I don't know. I've never really liked essays, especially this year. I had a real struggle with it, and I like everything from what I hear. Everybody hates it, so I guess I'd change it to something easier. And I'd keep the presentations because I actually like presenting sometimes, especially in this class and in current issues. So I actually like hearing what people have to say and listening to them.
Okay. All right, Logan, keep, delete, and remediate.
So I would actually keep the 5-paragraph essay like over online because if I'm being honest, like sometimes I'll get help with them, but I will probably end up procrastinating on it anyway, no matter what. If I'm in person or not, like I would still end up doing it, at night or after school. So it wouldn't really affect me too much with that. And then maybe remediate. I would probably remediate the presentations because, they're all right. It just feels pretty awkward when you're just, because I guess that's kind of what all the teachers go through and they just talk to the camera, and it's like, even if everyone's sitting there in silence, it still feels like you're talking to people because they're there rather than just talking to a bunch of videos. But, and then, I would delete the breakout rooms because those can just get real awkward real quick.
Even more awkward than your class presentation.
Yeah, they can. I really feel like it because you're just not doing it. Like you're talking, you're trying to figure out how to like do this group project in the way that you'll still get points because some projects will have points for working together, and you got to figure out how you can get those points. But if no one wants to talk first, then
you're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
That takes me back. That comment about the class presentation takes me back to first semester when all of you guys were at home. And I had like this, I joke about this, but I had this online long distance relationship with my students, and then you guys are like making me cry, and we won't go into that story yet, but like there's some people I never even heard their voice, but like I knew who they were, right? Like I was just staring at them, nodding their heads and like understanding their personality through them typing in a chat. That's one of the things I'll never forget, that's for sure, right? That's for sure. All right, second one. Maybe we'll start with you, Logan. All right, remote learning, and this is so those are, the first one was like things that you do to learn, right? Okay, so like activities to learn, right? This is like modes of communication and classroom learning, okay? Maybe even a little bit bigger. All right, so keep, delete, and remediate. Zoom, email, and like Google Classroom or Haiku, your learning management system. And here, I'll give you a little caveat to this. It's not like Logan said earlier, where like you're just not doing your work. Like, just imagine this is still a classroom where you have to learn and have expectation. Okay, so Logan, Zoom, email, or your learning management system like Classroom or Haiku. Which one are you keeping? Which one are you deleting? Which one are you remediating?
I would say I would. The one I would keep is probably, I don't know. Zoom is pretty alright, I'd say. So I think the chat is pretty good, or at least in this class. Like, we're all talking in chat, making jokes, and I don't know. I think that's pretty good. What was the other two options?
Email, and then like your learning management system. That's Teacher Talk for Google Classroom and Haiku.
Alright, yeah. So email, I would probably say Remediate, because it works. Like, but I feel like sometimes it just feels like it's a little slow, because you'll email someone, and then if you email them at like after school, like maybe not even too far, like 4 o'clock or something after the school day's over, you won't be able to get help. Or if you email them during the school day, sometimes you have to wait until the next day because they don't check anything. So and then maybe the learning management I would probably delete, because like classroom, it's there, but it doesn't feel like personal compared to both Zoom, because Zoom you're having a conversation with a bunch of people, and then email you're having a conversation with one person. But classroom just kind of feels like announcements, really.
Okay. All right, Keira, over to you. Zoom, email, or your learning management system?
I would probably delete Zoom because that was just rough.
Yeah.
And then I would keep Gmail just because I feel like that's like a good way to communicate with like your teachers or other students if you need it, and it's like necessary to have. And then I would remediate like Google Classroom or Haiku, just because I feel like it's something you need, but like it can be annoying at times.
Okay. Yeah. James, I saw you kind of shaking your head. Where are you going with on this one? I thought maybe in agreement, but I don't know.
I was thinking about deleting Zoom, but honestly, I think I just might delete like Google Classroom and stuff, because I think communicating on Zoom and email is much better. And I guess I'd change Zoom to just, I don't even know what I'd change it to, but something better.
James is going to change it to no breakout rooms, is that?
Probably, yeah. Just having everybody together. But I'd keep emails, because I know how important emails are, like to you especially. Like, it's a pretty good way to talk around, and you can actually have meetings online on Zoom, so I think that's pretty important too.
You guys, if you were to guess, which one do you think I would delete out of those three? If you were to guess. Zoom.
I don't know. I would say, like, I feel like you use Classroom a lot. I'd say you delete email.
Yeah, I would delete email. I hate email because, like, I don't mind email from you guys, but as you guys know, you guys have an email with spam.
Yeah.
So like I have to manage my email account every day. Like that stresses me out. So like I would much rather just have Zoom because it's personal, and then on Google Classroom or whatever, like I'll just leave you comments, and that's how I can communicate with you guys, like on your docs of the stuff you're actually working on. And then I don't get 12 emails about like, hey, what did we do yesterday? And I'm like, it's right there. I don't know what to tell you. Like, so, but anyways, that's just my own beef. I have a long-standing hatred of email. I'm not gonna lie. All right, final one, and then we're gonna wrap up this first episode, which is pretty impressive, guys. All right, so final one. This was not school-related, but something that we've talked about. And as we drink coffee, I thought it was only appropriate to bring Starbucks in for this last one. Okay, so keep, delete, and remediate Starbucks, Dunkin, and Panera. And let's imagine that a Panera actually goes into Huntley. Let's just imagine that that's the case. So keep, delete, or remediate Starbucks, Dunkin, Panera. And I'm going to open this up to anybody, whoever wants to go first.
I'm going to keep Dunkin' Donuts right now. I just like their donuts a lot.
Okay.
Pretty good. And then Starbucks, they have some good stuff, I guess. Like, it's pretty alright. And then Panera, you know, it's like pretty expensive, so that's gotta go.
Okay, so you're deleting Panera because of the expense. Was it our class period? I don't know if it was our class period or 8th hour. Somebody called Panera. They said it's overpriced hospital food.
Yeah, I think it was our
Was
class.
it our class period?
I think it was probably like Shashank or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably. All right, who wants it? James, Keira?
I'll go. So I think I just had the same thing as Logan. Like, I would keep Dunkin because their food's really pretty good, and I guess their prices are okay. And then I'd change Starbucks' prices, I guess, because it's a little expensive. But I'd completely delete Panera. But I've never tried it. But from what I hear from you guys, it doesn't sound too good.
Maybe this is one of those things where I shouldn't be too much of an influence on my students. So try Panera at some point before you delete it, maybe. Keira?
Mine is different. I would delete Dunkin' just because I don't really like coffee much. And then between Starbucks and Panera, I don't know because I feel like they're both overpriced. So I'd want to change that about like both of them, but I like them both. So.
Well, which one are you going to delete then, Keira? This is like that's what we got to do.
I guess I'll keep Starbucks and then remediate Panera.
Okay. What are you going to change? Just the price of Panera?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Most of these, when I do I've talked to some students about this. Like I tested these in my classes, and most of it was like change the price, and I'm like, oh yeah, you guys don't have money yet, do you? Yeah, it's understandable. All right, so that was the final keep, delete, and remediate. So that's kind of the end of our first episode. Before we go, Logan, James, or Keira, is there anything else you guys like to add? Plug your socials. I don't know. You got your YouTube account or any final thoughts or things that you guys wanna say?
I guess just a big thanks to Logan and you. I don't know his name.
Noah.
Well, his name's Noah.
I'm sorry.
Noah's here too.
So I just want to give a big thanks to them because they had made this possible. So it was
Yeah.
nice.
Thanks,
I actually
Logan,
like
for
this.
bringing this stuff in.
Thank you.
And then Noah for sitting there and encouraging him.
Yes.
Keira, anything you would want to add?
Just like the same thing they said.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, thank you guys for doing this. Thank you for encouraging our class and for me to actually stick to my word on this. This was a lot of fun. Our first episode is hopefully it'll be out soon, but this was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you guys and thank you guys for being a part of this and being open and honest. And I can't wait to see what the rest of the school year is like and go into the summer. So thank you guys.